The noon sun blazed high over the open prairie, turning the rolling plains into a shimmering sea of gold. Dust rose in thin spirals from wagon wheels that creaked along the stage road, carrying passengers westward into the promised perilous frontier life. Evelyn Carter sat stiff-backed inside the jolting coach, her gloved hands folded neatly in her lap. Every bump sent her heart tumbling a little, not from fear, but from the weight of the unknown. She wasn't running from anything, no scandal back east, no broken heart. But at 23, with her parents gone to fever and no dowry to her name, the small Pennsylvania town where she was born had closed its doors on her future. Her only prospect had been the advertisement in the Pittsburgh Gazette, widower rancher in Dusty Creek seeks respectable Christian bride, must be willing to cook, sew, and help on ranch, room, board, and lawful marriage provided. Thomas Everett, that was the name signed at the bottom. She had memorized it in the long, lonely nights since. Memorized the promise of a home. The stage lurched, and Evelyn's bonnet tipped slightly, letting in a slant of sun. She pushed it back and pressed her hand to her chest. Soon, she told herself, soon she would be a wife, a helpmate, a woman with roots again. The stage driver called down, through the dust, Dusty Creek. Next stop, Dusty Creek. Dusty Creek was little more than a cluster of wooden buildings hugging the main street to saloons, a general store, a sheriff's office, a church with a bell tower, and a scattering of houses stretching out toward the cottonwoods by the creek bed. Beyond the town sprawled endless ranges, where ranch fences cut into the land like scars against the wild. When the stage pulled to a halt in front of the livery, Evelyn stepped down carefully, skirts brushing against her traveling trunk. The driver, wiping sweat from his brow, tipped his hat. "You got people meeting you, Miss?" "Yes," Evelyn said, her voice soft but certain. "Mr. Everett." The driver squinted. "Everett Ranch is north side of town. 'Bout half a day by wagon. If he ain't here, he'll be along." Evelyn stood there with her trunk, the dry wind tugging at her skirts. Men with dust-caked boots and women in calico dresses passed by, glancing curiously at the stranger on the boardwalk. She straightened her spine, pretending not to notice. Minutes dragged. Then HOOFBEATS. A rider came down the street, tall in the saddle, shoulders broad, his hat pulled low against the sun. His horse was a powerful black gelding that moved with the easy grace of something half wild. He reined in beside her, his eyes hard, gray, unreadable, swept over her. "You, the bride?" Evelyn blinked, startled. Yes, Evelyn Carter. "And you must be Mr. Everett." The man's jaw tightened. He dismounted in one swift motion, boots striking the earth, with the weight of a man used to command. "Everett," he repeated, as though the name tasted bitter. He studied her another moment, then reached for her trunk. "Come on. Wagon's tied up by the post. We've got a ways to ride." She hesitated. He hadn't said much. He hadn't even introduced himself. But she was in no position to argue. "Thank you," she murmured, following him. The ride from town stretched long and silent. The man, Mr. Everett, she reminded herself, handled the reins with ease, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Evelyn stole glances at him when she dared. His face was sun-browned, angular, with faint scars near his temple. A man shaped by the West itself. She tried to start conversation once. "It's beautiful land here, so open, so free." He gave her the briefest nod, nothing more. The ranch appeared at last, sprawling against the hill's fenced pasture, a weathered barn, a clapboard house with smoke curling from its chimney. Horses grazed in the distance, and a few ranch hands looked up from their work as the wagon rolled in. Before Evelyn could gather her courage to speak again, a child's voice rang out. "Papa!" A little girl, no more than 6, darted from the porch steps, her braids flying, a rag doll clutched in one hand. She barreled straight for the wagon, laughter bubbling. The man, stoic all the way, broke into something softer. He swung down, lifted the girl into his arms, and held her close. "Clara," he said quietly, almost reverently. The girl looked past his shoulder, and her eyes landed on Evelyn. Wide blue eyes, filled with something almost knowing. She wriggled, free from her father's arms, trotted straight to Evelyn, and tugged at her skirts. "Are you my new mama?" Evelyn's throat tightened. She knelt, so she was eye level with the child. I don't know yet, sweetheart." Clara leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper only Evelyn could hear. God finally sent you to us. Evelyn froze. The words struck something deep inside her, as though the prairie wind itself had carried them. She lifted her gaze, and her eyes met the man's. The father, the one she had called Everett. But in that moment, in the look between them, she knew this wasn't Thomas Everett. That night, Evelyn lay awake in the small spare room of the ranch house, the sound of coyotes echoing across the hills. The truth settled heavy on her chest. She had been brought to the wrong ranch, and the brooding man who had carried her trunk and driven her home was not her intended groom. His name, she learned from Clara at supper, was Royce Barrett, and fate, it seemed, had played her a dangerous hand.